Hi, welcome to day 3. In day 3, we want to talking about it. Here, we would like to go through what are the things that you mention or talk about while interacting with someone facing grief and loss. Like any A&E department in a hospital, we want to rule out some important things before we even talk about it. First, to determine if the grieving process has cycled down into some sort of a debilitating depression, ask the person on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being okay to 10 being extremely depressed, ask where would you put yourself today. If depression is evident, then refer to the topic on depression. Secondly, do ask if you have any thoughts of hurting yourself. If suicidal tendencies are evident, then probably we need to get others to help out, and we can refer. The context of these topics are in a CG setting. We are not professionals on these areas, but there are some general questions that we can ask. These are directed toward someone who is grieving over death, but could be adapted for the person who is grieving loss for some other reasons. Loss of something precious, transitions, etc. Firstly, in interacting with a person who has died. Secondly, what are your favorite memories of this person? Was the death especially traumatic? That might be the third question. Was it a sudden accident or death at home? Fourthly, where were you when the death occurred? Now here, listen for ways that the person may be blaming himself or herself or feeling guilty for what has happened. For example, was she or he driving the car that had caused the accident? Was the person the passenger who survived the car accident while the other person did not? Process these feelings with the grieving person. Fifth, how do you feel after the death or the accident? Six, what emotions have you had since the death? 7, what emotions do you currently feel most often? If you are the grieving person, then do strive to express these emotions to your CG people, someone close to you who care for you. Number 8, does this loss remind you of any other loss that you have experienced? 9, who else knows what you have been going through? Who is supporting you emotionally and spiritually? 10, what does the loss mean for you personally? Please explain or elaborate. 11, at what level are you functioning right now? Tell me about a typical day. How does your typical day look like? 12, when are your best times? 13, when are your worst times of the day? Here we want to move on to giving some wise advice or counsel. We need to address any issues the person may have of wanting to die or not having a reason to live. As we are not experts in our CG setting, we can refer to a professional care. It might be counseling, it might even be medical. Assess how the person is functioning in daily life and what help he or she might need. Reassure the person that the process will take time and that the range and intensity of emotions he or she is experiencing are normal. Do remind the grieving person that everyone's grieving experience is unique. That will mean that the way the person grieves might be different from yours. It will be not helpful if you look at a person and think that his or her expression does not show that kind of expression that you expect from your own point of view about what a grieving face should look like. And then it is not helpful to tell the person that you're not grieving, you should grieve. Show a grieving face. Everyone's grieving experience is unique. Do not impose your perception of what a grieving scene or grieving face look like. Even though this grieving experience is unique, well, at the same time, there is some normal process that is similar, identical across all grieving. Therefore, we can still, at the same time, normalize the process by identifying it as one you have seen with all persons suffering some important loss. Now, for this last part, I would like to conclude that there's a timing for asking these questions. And if you receive a call about someone suffering an accident or some event or even death, this might not be the best time to ask these interacting questions. For example, if you receive a call for help because someone had met a serious accident or even death, then all these questions, 13 questions, might not be suitable at that moment in time. But there will become a time where the person is so-called no longer in the emergency ward, no longer in the ICU, but is not even in a normal ward, has gone to a home, so-called, by analogy, and is struggling with the issue for some weeks or even months or years. And these are the things that we can talk about when you visit after the heat of the event has passed. We ask that God give us the wise words, the sensitivity of heart to perceive a grieving person. We also pray that God will encourage the grieving person to open up to the CG and community so that the person can be helped and not suffer under such a heavy burden for a long period of time and feeling lost. Let us come together as a community to help one another through this process. We will talk about some steps to take for day 4, and for day 4 and 5 we will refer to specific Bible passages. See you for day 4.